I came straight out of high school into entrepreneurship. So when I left high school, when I left Inglewood, I went into a fish market working for my dad. Because everybody said that they had never heard of a sweet potato cake.
Mhm.
And so when I would do samples, before they purchased, and they were sampling, and they was, oh my God, this cake is so good. And I was like, okay. and at that point, that's when I said, okay, you might need to start a business with this. So yeah, it took me through being
Okay.
homeless, being evicted, no car. I went through a lot. In this location in Lithonia, I was homeless in there, living in the back of that restaurant.
Hmm.
I was living in the first one I had. I was living in the back of the restaurant because there was no plan in place. So now we're frying fish, and we getting these. I mean, customers are coming. We're getting business for lunch.
Yeah.
But you done ran out of fish, so now he's got to take money out the register, go run to the store, buy some more fish, come back, and we got to clean it, and now we cooking it. I mean, that's how it was going. It was going like that. I mean, doing business totally backwards. I'll tell you by numbers, and then you could, and then this is when you say, "Did you make any money?" Yeah, okay. At some
Did you
point,
start taking up? Did you make any money?
I will tell you, the first year when we first started, at knowing nobody, we did.
Welcome to another edition of the Kenn Rashad Show, where we profile and highlight extraordinary people who are doing extraordinary things in the communities in which they serve. And my guest today represents perseverance and what it truly takes to create something meaningful from the ground up. She is the founder and CEO of Fannie Cakes, a premium dessert brand known for its made-from-scratch pound cakes and gourmet treats that have reached customers across the country. What began as a passion for baking has grown into a business rooted in vision, discipline, and the determination to build something of her own. But beyond the product is a story of resilience, of overcoming life's challenges, rebuilding when things were uncertain, and finding a way to move forward with purpose. Her journey is a reminder that entrepreneurship isn't just about what you sell. It's about what you overcome and who you become in the process. She is extraordinary. She is my high school classmate. She is my homie. So let's welcome to the stage, Miss Stephannie Roundtree.
Hey, Ken, it's great to see you. Good to be on your show. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much,
me.
ma'am, for coming on on such short notice. But I couldn't ignore when you reached out and you told me about your journey and your story, and someone who has purchased your product not once, not twice, but more, quite a few times, not to mention just me and the missus, but my
Right.
mother and aunt and so forth. So you're talking to someone who isn't just trying to profile your story. I am a client, I am a customer, and believe me when I tell you, this girl can burn. The girl can
Thank
burn.
you.
So
Thank
Stephanie,
you. Thank you.
so for those who may not be aware, tell us a little bit about what yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Well, you already know my name is Stephannie Roundtree, and that's where the name Fannie Cakes comes from. The Fannie part in my name, which is Fannie, and also my grandmother. My grandmother's name is Fannie Mae Smith, or was Fannie Mae Smith. She's deceased. But we do more than breakfast. I mean, we do more than bakery. We also do
Hmm.
breakfast, just to add that in. But the baking is a passion, and it all derived, Ken, from coming straight out of high school, Inglewood High School. When I left, I know you said when you left and you was gone, but I stayed. But I came straight out of high school into entrepreneurship. So when I left high school, when I left Inglewood, I went into a fish market working
Hmm.
for my dad, the family business. So we had the fish market, Captain Fish, over on Century and Crenshaw, and that's how it all started. So, and I was the sole employee there. I was the
Hmm.
only employee there because my parents were working. My older sister was in college, and my younger sister was too young to work, so I was a middle girl.
Hmm.
So I got
Yeah.
thrown in,
Yeah.
and
So,
my dad opened the fish market, and he said, "You gonna run the fish market,"
hmm,
and that's it. That's how it all started, and
right.
from there it just I fell into it, and I developed a passion for it, even though it was food. We weren't doing any desserts or anything like that, but I guess at that time, that's when I realized that was my purpose in
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
to deal with food. So it snowballed from there.
Yeah. So just
And
talk a little bit more about your restaurant. So Fannie Cakes is more, like you said, it's more than just a dessert brand, but there really is an actual location located where?
right,
In
we're in
Gastonia?
Gastonia, North Carolina.
Hmm.
We first started in Atlanta, and then I moved here in 2017. And so now we've been going for 8 years now here as a breakfast bakery.
Okay. So
So
breakfast bake.
yeah, it's a breakfast bakery. So we originally started out with desserts when I first moved here, because the building that I found, the location, it was already a bakery.
Hmm.
So I went in thinking that, okay, it was already a bakery, so now I'm going to do my bakery. I'll do my sweets, and I realized that it needed another touch. It needed something else, because people don't come to bakeries just every day, just to buy sweets. Some do. It depends on, I guess, the neighborhood that you're in. But this particular community wasn't, that. So I decided to add the breakfast in, gradually add breakfast in, and that's what I did. I started off doing grit bowls,
Hmm.
small grit bowls and sandwiches and stuff like that, and that took off. The breakfast took off. So
Okay.
now at this stage, 8 years later, the demand is for both.
Wow.
So they
Okay.
want the breakfast and the desserts.
So when you
So that,
first, so when you first started,
mhm.
and it was basically just pretty much desserts, right?
Yeah, it was just desserts only.
Okay. And how did you start that? Were you just kind of doing things locally, or
No, I
what?
was I was I was in an actual location. So I was in
Okay.
an actual building. Yeah, I went and took over the building that was there. There was a lady there that was already doing a bakery, and she wound up closing up, and they put the for rent sign in the window. And I went and acquired the building, and I started doing my desserts. I started doing my because I was doing that in Atlanta already.
Hmm.
And so I just started doing my packaging, pre-packaging my desserts, making the cakes and pre-packaging them and selling them, sitting them on the shelf, and a cupcake here, a cupcake there.
Right.
And it wasn't. I found myself throwing away product.
Hey, folks, it's Kenn Rashad. Quick pause. A lot of people rush into entrepreneurship by spending money first and asking questions later. They form an LLC, buy a logo, build a website, and still aren't clear on what problem they're actually solving. That's why I put together a free guide called Entrepreneurship 101, the no money starting playbook. It's designed to help you think through your idea before you spend a dollar, so you can get clear on who you're serving, what they actually need, and whether your idea has real traction. This isn't about hype or shortcuts. It's about responsibility, clarity, and building something useful on purpose. You can download the guide for free using the link in the description. Get clear first, build intentionality, spend when it makes sense. All right, let's get back to the conversation. At the beginning, what was the moment, or what was it about your products? For instance, she makes a mean sweet potato pound cake. And I guess I'm talking about before the storefront. I'm saying, what led to you getting to the point to where you were baking these premium desserts that the demand was so high where you realized you had a business? Talk about that moment.
Okay, so in the beginning, that didn't start here in North Carolina.
Mm.
That started in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I was doing food truck parks. I was doing doing almost like festival type things,
Hmm.
taking my product out to the food truck. Even though I didn't have a food truck, they allowed me to be on that lot, and I would set up a table with a tent, and, bake my stuff at home, take it out and package it. And the sweet potato cake was the one that started it, because everybody said that they had never heard of a sweet potato cake. And so when I would do samples, before they purchased, and they were sampling, and they was, oh my God, this cake is so good. And I was like, okay. and at that point, that's when I said, okay, you might need to start a business with this if it's that good. So then my brain starts twirling, do I need a location? Do I sell from my trunk? Do I get a truck? So it laid on me, and I kept selling, here, there. And then that's when I decided, you know what, I need a location. And so I went, look, that's when my brain started saying, okay, you need to start driving around and looking for locations. And that's what I did. And so it took off from there. And I was looking for places that were like turnkey already, so I wouldn't have to put so much money into trying to open it up. And that's what I did. So the first location was in Atlanta, was in Lithonia, Georgia.
Yeah.
Actually, it was in a downtown community type place. I found a location there that was already open and running. They were doing catering out there. So I took over that building, and I started there too. I had to do both, the breakfast and the desserts, because one didn't, pay the bills. So I had to add to it.
Right.
So then later on, I moved to another location. I wound up downtown Atlanta, in the heart of downtown Atlanta, on 57th and 57 Forsyth Street. And I started just doing desserts there. And the dessert said, you're not going to work me over. So you need to add something. So I added breakfast there. And I started finding out that, hey, okay, the breakfast and the pastries go together. You can do scones, you can do whatever, you can do breakfast sandwiches. It all ties in. So I might have something here. And so Atlanta was the breakfast bakery where it really got started in Atlanta.
Okay.
Breakfast bakery. And that's what I was doing. And from a storefront window, there was no kitchen, there was no nothing. I was making the stuff from home and transporting it down to Atlanta to set it up in a storefront window with Schaefer's, and that's how I was doing it. And it was like, people would walk by the window downtown Atlanta, and they see me in this window, cupping up grits and selling oatmeal, and that's what I was doing from a storefront. And there was no running water, no nothing. So whatever I would make
there was
from
no
home.
Running water. Wait a minute, you said there was no running water?
So when I didn't have any running water there, because that's all it was. It was like a clothing storefront, where the mannequins would, you used to walk and see the mannequins on the thing. That's how it was. So I would have to go out of that building and go around to down in the basement, where they had a basement, and get water if I needed it. But my whole thing was, all I made was enough to sell for that day, that morning.
I see.
So when it ran out, that was it. And I didn't have any way to reproduce or keep selling. I had to come back the next day. And it took off. It was a demand. I had the barbershops coming to me. I had Congressman Lewis used to come to me, because he would get his hair cut at the barbershop right next door to me, and his office was down the street. And he would get the sweet potato cake from me. And it was like, when your product is gone, it's gone. And that was the hurting part, because I couldn't keep turning over.
Okay.
So I did it there for 2 years. I was married at the time. And after that 2-year period, that's when I relocated to come to here now in Gastonia.
Okay. So let me pause for a moment, because this is where I'm trying to figure out. Because keep in mind, when I found out about your product, it was one of those things where, hey, go ahead and send it to me. Where did you get to the point to where you were literally mailing orders to various places across the country? How did you get to that point?
Yeah, that wasn't something that I was advertising at all, Ken. It was word of mouth. Wow. Everything that I did with my product and with Fannie Cakes was a lot of word of mouth, because I didn't have the expenses for the advertising. So I would tell this person, or I would do a little posting on social media, when social media came around. But a lot of my business came from simply word of mouth. And Atlanta was the one that got it spiraled, where it started spiraling, because, it's a lot going on in downtown Atlanta. So people were hearing about it, and people were coming to me and saying, I was in the elevator and people are talking about your product in the elevators, asking, have you ever had her grits? She got a bad sweet potato cake down there, and so that was the main cake that I was selling then in
Okay.
Atlanta,
Okay.
was the sweet potato cake.
Do you recall the first time though that you actually had to ship a cake someplace?
Um, when I was in that location in Atlanta, that's when people started asking me, do you ship your product? And I said, yeah, the sweet potato cake I will ship. The
Mhm.
pound cakes I will ship. And if they wanted the cake, they would come to me or send me an email or something like that and say, I want to get one of your cakes. But I didn't, because it was just me, by
Yeah.
myself. I didn't have the time to sit down and like, take if it started growing. I didn't have the manpower to say, okay, now I'm going to start shipping cakes and baking cakes. But then I had to look over here and say, but wait, they want breakfast too.
Yeah.
So you can't do both. I
Right.
mean, you can try, but you're going to burn yourself out.
Right.
So I didn't want to get into that arena, because if the cakes did start taking off, then that means I would have to cut the breakfast
Right.
off.
Right. So all of
So,
this time you were doing this by yourself.
oh yeah,
No,
this
no,
was,
no help.
I didn't have any help. I had my husband at the time, we were together, but he was having health issues and things like that. So a lot of the stuff I was doing totally by myself. He would come when he could, to help set up and that kind of stuff. But it was not much, that he could do. But mainly all the product that was being baked, all the product that was being prepped, for breakfast and all of that. It was pretty much all me. So yeah, I was a one woman show. Fannie Cakes has never been a family business.
Mm.
It's always been, a
Right.
me business, even though I had family, but it's always been me, so it was like, you're the backdrop, and if you're out, then Fannie Cakes is out, you know, and so I had to start. I mean, I had a lot of things going on in my head, what if I can't bake anymore?
Right.
Or what if I can't do breakfast anymore? Who's going to do it? And so I had to, all of that's going on at the same time while I'm doing all this by myself
Right.
and
Okay.
transporting food to a place that wasn't set up,
Right.
for a kitchen,
Right.
and that's all I would ever say when I was in that location downtown. I was like, I got to get a kitchen. I got to get a kitchen. I can't
Mhm.
keep doing this way, because I'm not making any money,
Right.
I'm just I'm just hitting my bottom line and that's it. I'm breaking even every time, so this can't work like this. I have to get into a location to where I can fully cook and do the things that I need to do. And I guess that's what drove me to, I was sent to North Carolina. God said,
Mhm.
you're going to North Carolina and there's going to be a place for you where you can do the things that you need to do. And
Okay.
so that's when I left in 2017. I shut down the place in Atlanta and came to North Carolina.
Okay. We'll get to North Carolina in a bit, but I am curious. Before Fannie Cakes, before you started Fannie Cakes, talk about life before Fannie Cakes. What were you doing prior to that time? You mentioned something about a fish market, but kind of talk about what life was for Stephannie Roundtree before you started Fannie Cakes.
Well, life before Fannie Cakes was straight out of high school, went into the fish market. My dad opened that business and said, we're going to run a fish market and you're going to run it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about a fish market. So he trained me. In between him working his 40-hour-a-week job at the grocery store, retail grocery store, he was training me. So
Mhm.
he trained me to do recipes. I came up with the fish batter. We did everything fresh, from cutting potatoes to the coleslaw to the potato salad. It was all me. It was all me going downtown, LA, to go to the fish markets, to go and pick out the fish, to bring it back, to set up the fish case, customers coming in. I got to stop doing what I'm doing because now I got to prep this fish for them. I got to fry the fish. I got to
Wow.
package.
Wow.
This is what I was doing straight out of high school.
Hmm.
Okay. My dad would call from his job at 11 o'clock when we were supposed to be open. And all he would say is, are the doors open? And I'm like, I'm getting them open. I'm still mopping the floor. I got put the mop down and open the door. You open at 11 o'clock. And I had to have all this ready, set up, all the fish case all lined up and all this. And I'm telling you, Ken, I was running this place by myself. One
Mm.
answering the phone, customers walking in, taking orders and all this stuff. So I didn't get any help until my family got off work.
Okay.
So they didn't get off work until like 4 or 5 in the evening, and we closed at like maybe 9 or 10. So from 11 o'clock all the way up until that time, it's all me.
Okay. And doing so, it's all you, and obviously there were challenges for you. But how would you rate? I mean, was the business successful? How long were you doing it?
We had Captain Fish, I would say, I think we had it 2 or 3 years, and
Hmm.
the business was successful. However, we couldn't keep running it the way we were running it because everybody else had another life.
Yeah.
So it was either is either you're going to work these 40 hours a week, or you're going to run the fish market. Which one is it? And so it got to the point where it started becoming unbearable. We were still breaking even. My grandmother passed during that time. We had the fish market, and we had to close it up, to go to Louisiana, go to the funeral, what
Mm.
have you. So Fannie Cakes ended.
Yeah.
And once Fannie Cakes ended,
Wait.
it
You
was,
say Fannie Cakes ended or the fish market?
I mean, not Fannie Cakes, I'm sorry, Captain Fish ended.
Captain Fish, the
Captain
fish
Fish
market.
ended. That was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
business we had in LA. It
Okay.
was called Captain Fish. And when that closed up, that's when I was like, okay, what do I do now? Because
Okay.
now I'm coming straight out of high school, went into a business, and now the business is closed. So what do I do? So I started working odd and end jobs, working for corporate America. I had gone to programming school, computer programming. Back then it was, in the 80s, that's when everybody was getting into computer programming. So I went to, because I was into computers then at the time too, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a computer geek,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so my dad was like, no, you're going to run this, you're going to do this, and so I was like, oh God, this is not what I want to do. So he
Yeah.
said, you need to find, because I was still living at home at the time, I guess I'm around 17, 18, around in there. He said, find something you like to do, and I'll pay for you to go. So it was computer school. I went to computer school, and I did that, finished that, and I'm just like, this is still not what I want to do. So now I'm working corporate jobs, temp agencies, going here and going there, finding myself sitting, Ken, looking at magazines and looking at food pictures. That's all I would do. I would sit at the desk and look at food pictures. And I said, this is my calling.
Mm.
I have a calling for food. So now that's when the baking started. I
Okay.
started doing pies. I started making cookies. I was taking cookies to work and selling them at work. And it was like, oh my God, these cookies are good. You should bake these. You should sell these. You should do this, do that. So now all of this is twirling
People
through
were
my
actually
head.
telling you this. People were actually telling you
Yes,
this.
they're telling me your cookies are good. You can sell them. So now I'm selling pies. I'm doing cobblers. I'm doing cakes. I'm selling cobblers to the. There was a place over in Lamert Park, and I think it was called a cobbler house or something like that. So I was making cobblers, and they were selling my cobblers in their cobbler store.
Wow, you were a
So
supplier for the cobbler
yeah,
house.
I was a supplier for, and Ken, and at the time, by me being young, I'm not knowing what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just selling. So maybe if I had somebody behind me that knew what I had at the time, could push me. But I was around a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
friends and this distractions and all this
You're right.
stuff, not realizing that you're supplying a product to another company. That's something. That's something
Yeah.
big. If you have something behind you to push you and market that right, this could be big for you. So I'm just looking to sell a cobbler so I can get some money to pay the bill. So that's the way I was looking at it. So I'm not looking at it as a business or nothing like that. I'm just looking at it as people are saying, "Oh, this is good. You should sell it." Thanksgiving time, Christmas time, I was booked.
Hmm.
People were calling me for sweet potato pies. I didn't do had the sweet potato cake then, but they were calling for pound cakes, cookies, pies, and all this stuff. And so I said, okay, desserts. Okay, because I found a passion for that.
Hmm.
I would stay in the kitchen for hours and hours baking this product. And I'm like, this is what I like to do because it gives me peace.
Hmm.
And I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then 1999 was the year that I California was it for me,
Hmm.
and that's when I went to Atlanta, and I tried to start it back up in Atlanta, doing
Yeah.
desserts and all that, because my dad had meat markets.
Hmm.
He opened up meat markets, and so I came to Atlanta in '99, and I said, okay, I'm gonna start selling my red velvet cakes and my pound cakes and stuff in the meat market. For extra money. You walk into a store and you see a slice of cake there, you see a slice, and so that I was doing that. So I said, well, maybe I could sell these to the liquor stores, because that's how I would see them in LA. You can go in there and buy a slice of cake, boy, just right there at the counter. So I had that concept, had that idea. I mean, I had all these great ideas in my head, but I had nobody to say, let me help you with this,
Yeah.
or let me help you take this to the next level because you got something here. So a lot of things that I did, I just did on a whim, did them on my own, had no knowledge, I wasn't surrounded around people that knew the business that I was in.
Hmm.
So I was just doing it as I went, as I learned, or just, like a learn as you go type thing.
Okay.
So yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So you I guess you leave LA
Hmm.
and you eventually go to Atlanta, correct?
Right.
Okay. And I guess that's when as I understand it, you were married at the time to your husband. And was he? Is that
Not I didn't get married in Atlanta until 2011.
okay? So what took you from LA to Atlanta?
Uh Burnout. I was
Mm,
staying in my parents' house on 6 and 104 on 104th Street, and I wasn't like I said, I was distracted,
okay.
partying, hanging out, having friends coming over because I'm staying in my dad's house and they're all in Atlanta. Everybody's in Atlanta but me. You
Hmm.
know, my kids were in Atlanta at the time. I had twins at the time. And so everybody's in Atlanta but me. So now here I am in LA still by myself, still selling food, selling cakes, all to pay the bills,
Yeah.
all to pay the rent. It wasn't for like I'm gonna start a business with this. So my dad said, "Hey, I'm selling my house. You got to go."
Oh, wow.
So I'm just like, wow, where do I go? I don't know. So the only place I could go was to Atlanta, where all the
Mm,
family was.
yeah.
So I had a yard sale on 104th and 6th Avenue. Everything in the house was for sale for $1, $2, whatever I could sell. He said, clear the house out. It's going up for sale.
Wow.
And I packed up all my stuff, cargoed some of it, and got on a plane. And I was in Atlanta in '99,
Okay.
and I never came back.
So you get to Atlanta. I mean, what's the first thing you do? I mean,
I get to
I mean,
it. I get
were you baking at the time, or were you just
not,
still
not
trying
at
to
the
find a
time that I
way?
came.
Or
No, I wasn't baking at the time when I came. I came to Atlanta in '99. On my kids, I was there the day before my kid's birthday, their seventh birthday. That was May 20th of '99. May 21st, I was working in the meat market,
hmm,
my
in
dad's meat market
Atlanta?
in Atlanta.
Wow.
And he said, I got one night of sleep, and the next morning I was in the shop working in a butcher shop, and that's because that's what he had. He had meat markets, and I came there and I worked, and so I was like, I don't want to deal with no raw meat. I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with meat at all. I want to bake. That was my concept. I want to bake.
Okay.
So his meat markets were set up. You know how F&M was? F&M Market was?
Hmm.
Did you ever go to F&M Market? That's how my dad's store was. You
Okay.
come in there and you buy all the whatever your fresh meat is all laid out in the
Right.
case.
Yeah.
You go get frozen vegetables, your breads, your mayonnaise, whatever goes with complements meat. Then now you got your goodie counter. You got all your lollipops and all this kind of stuff. So I'm sitting there thinking while I'm at the register, I'm like, shoot, I could bake and have some of my cake, sitting on this counter with the rest
Yeah.
of the goodies.
Yeah.
And so, because that's what I want to do, and that's what I was doing at home while I was living with them. I would bake cakes, and put them there and put them
And they
inside my
sold out.
dad's shop. And
And they sold out.
yeah, they would sell out. I would do a cake here, a cake there, because I couldn't do a whole lot because he wanted my focus to be in that meat
Obviously.
market,
Yeah.
not baking no cakes. So I just said, this is not what I want to do. So I started branching out, being defiant and all that stuff, and said, I'm going to bake. So, Ken, I started baking at my parents' house. And eventually I moved out of the house in Atlanta and got my own place, rented my own place. I started selling food out the back of my trunk. I was
Mm.
making sandwiches. I was making cakes, sliced cakes. And my kids were going to middle school at the time. I would drop them off at school, go home, place orders. They were calling me and placing their orders for sandwiches. I was doing sandwiches and chips,
What kind of
and
sandwiches?
they were like sub sandwiches,
Oh,
and some of them
okay.
were Philly sandwiches, and they started making me into a short order cook.
What?
Can you put some grilled onions on mine and do this? And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing this out of my house. I'm not in no shop. I can't. Y'all getting too fancy, you know. So I did what I could, you know, and I was buying the product and all this stuff. I mean, I was hustling. I was
You're right. I was
really
going to say
hustling.
it sounds more like a side hustle. So
Yeah,
let me ask you this: what kind of money were you making at that time? I mean,
Ken,
was it
I was making the money that I paid. So
so you
whatever
weren't
whatever
necessarily making a profit? Everything was just break even, just covering your costs.
everything was break even. You go buy the product, you go sell the product, you get the money back. You go buy the product, sell the product,
Wow.
get the money back. So there was no money being saved to where I can say, okay, yeah, this money goes over here to pay the rent. This money goes here. No, it was just like all you doing is just circling money back and forth.
Okay.
You know.
So you transition obviously from there from working in the meat market. You say you became defiant, I guess, with the owner. And
Yes.
it was, I take it at that point where you decided to kind of branch off and do your own thing.
Right. I
Okay.
branched off and said, I got to do my own thing. This is not going to work. So I met a guy while I was working at my parents' fish market, and not fish market, but meat market. You know, wind up having a child by him, and
Okay.
he was the one who introduced me to culinary school. Believe it or not.
Culinary school, really?
Yes,
Okay.
because I always
I just want to make sure the meat market that you were working in Atlanta, that was owned by your parents?
yes
Okay. So there was the fish market in LA, right?
owned by my parents.
By your
Yes,
parents. And you moved to Atlanta. Everybody moves to Atlanta. And you're working in the meat market for your parents.
right.
Okay. And then so now you meet this guy and
Meet this guy, wind up having a child by this guy, not married, and
mhm,
so we connect and wind up having a child with him. It was the worst thing I could ever do because I didn't really know this guy. My parents and my whole family knew this guy, and they was telling me, you know, don't get involved with him. Da da da. We've been knowing him before you even moved down here. He's nothing but trouble. Da da da. Didn't listen. Anyway, long story short, he as by him being a barber, he gets a lot of people sitting in his chair.
mhm.
So he comes home one day, and because he knew I liked to cook and knew I was always baking and all that stuff, and he just says, "Here, call this number. This might be something for you." So I'm like, "What is this?" You know. Come to find out, it was a culinary program,
Mm,
okay, and it was for transitional people, people that were in transition. You know,
mhm.
so it was a whole program, a 16-week program to help them get back on their feet.
Just for clarification, transitioning from incarceration?
Transitioning from incarceration, whether you're homeless, probation,
Okay.
whatever the case may be, you know.
Okay.
And so I'm like, well, this is not for me because I'm not in transition. And so I called the people, and they set up an interview, and they gave me all the ins and outs. You know, he said this: you have to be here 8 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. You can't hold a regular job. You know, and as I look back now, it was for me because
Mhm.
when I was in this relationship with this guy, I was going through a lot of domestic violence.
Mm.
So yeah, I was part of the transition because I was trying to get out. I was trying to get out of that domestic violence situation that I was in. You know, so the program did fit me, but the reason why I took it was because I didn't have $40,000 to pay to go to culinary school. So
Mm.
that was an out for me, and this program was free. So I went through this program. It was a 16-week program. I got all the culinary lingo that I needed, the kitchen language and all that. And I knew I had a passion for cooking food and doing all that. So I went through this 16-week program. I graduated through hardship. It was a lot going on. I mean, it was all the domestic violence going on, no money, moving from place to place with a child, trying to study my books and all this with a new baby, And I was determined to graduate. And once I graduated, and which was in 2004, I believe, I graduated valedictorian of my class. And I said, "This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be. I'm a cook. I'm a
Hmm.
chef, And so I went through that program, and that's when I started using that knowledge and that education to say, okay, now I think I want to open up my own business. You know,
Hmm.
how do I do that? I don't know how to do it. So I had to take the information that I learned from my dad working in his businesses and say, okay, now let me take all that knowledge that I learned from working with him and put it into opening up my own business. And so that's how it all just came about.
Okay. So how long were you in that culinary program?
I was in the culinary program. It was only 16 weeks. So
Okay. But you actually did complete it?
oh yeah, I
Okay.
completed the program, and I graduated in class number 8, and I think they did 2 more classes after that because it was through a food bank type situation. And once they did 2 more classes after I graduated, then the program went away,
Okay.
and
So
there was no more program.
you finished the culinary program.
Fini-
What's
Finished the
next?
finished the culinary program. Then I go and I work for Druid Hills Country Club. And that was my externship there, through prior to graduating from the class. And I wound up getting hired at the country club, working with private chefs. I mean, chef
Mm.
award-winning chefs and all that. So I'm getting a lot more education now because I'm working with these people. These are Johnson and Wales ex students, and
Yeah.
they've been on TV competitions and all this stuff. So now I'm getting some more, knowledge, in this culinary world. But I wanted to do the pastry, and when I went there, you had to work every area. You had to work the line, the grill line. Had to know how to butcher, and that came in my favor because my dad showed me how to butcher meat. So
Right.
now I'm in a butcher, and I'm learning all these different areas in the culinary field, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to gather all this knowledge that I have, and
Yeah.
soon I'm going to be able to open up my own. And that's what I did. So I stayed there for a year at the country club. And after I left the country club, that's when I started doing some more odd and end jobs. And I just, everywhere that I went, I wasn't comfortable, because it was like, I'm used to working for myself. I've been working for myself since I was 16. I know this work. I don't want to punch anybody's clock. I don't want to go and, they tell me when to go to lunch or tell me when I can go on vacation or I can't take time off. And I'm not used to that. So that's when my mind started saying, you got to get your own. You
Hmm.
got to start working for yourself.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. I kept doing, I was
Yeah.
still hustling food and, still working out and in jobs until something just, came up. And that's when I met my husband in Atlanta.
So when you
And,
were working at the country club, were you
uh-huh.
still doing a side hustle on your own with cakes and so forth, or did you not have
No,
time for that? Yeah.
no,
Okay.
I didn't have time for that, but I was learning, I was getting the knowledge,
Yeah.
what I was doing, while I was there. I was picking up all the knowledge that I could, reading the books, studying the books, knowing the different techniques and how you do this and how you do that, how this mixes, how that mixes. And once I got into that pastry part, it was like I was like in heaven
Okay.
because I'm like, okay, now I know how this mixes. Now I know why this doesn't mix. I'm gonna take this information and use it for myself,
Right.
when I eventually get my own.
So
So that was the goal.
hey folks, Kenn Rashad. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but I've got to take a quick pause just to put something on your radar. My business coach, Dr. Myron Golden, is hosting his next Make More Offers Challenge. And if you're serious about growing your business, scaling your income, and creating lasting impact, this is the place to be. It's 5 days of high-level teachings that'll show you how to structure, price, and position offers that don't just sell, but they help your business grow with purpose. I've been through this challenge myself, and it completely shifted the way I think about business, from how I build to how I serve. So do yourself a favor, go to offers.kenrashad.com and secure your spot for the next Make More Offers Challenge. Now let's get back to the show. So you leave the culinary place.
Mm-hmm.
And what, I mean, did you have was it something in particular? You just said you had enough, or did you have a plan in place in which you were going to execute to start the
Ken, I
thing
had no
in
plan.
Atlanta? I mean, I'm saying, what was it? Just that you had enough, and you just decided you were going to go ahead and start your own thing, but you said you had no plan.
Right. I had no plan. I
So
had
how did
no
that work
plan.
out? Talk
I was just,
about
I
leaving.
was,
What did you do?
when I left culinary school, and I started working different jobs, and they weren't in the food industry. They were just, it was like, a job here, job there, a temp agency here, go work here, do that. Um,
And this is
when
in
I
Atlanta.
Yeah, this is in Atlanta because I did
Yeah.
18 years in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
was in Atlanta for 18 years. So now I've left this school. I'm going back and forth with the baby daddy type situation, still trying to find my way, moving from here to there, not knowing what it is I'm gonna do. And that's when I decided to go into and open up the place in downtown Lithonia.
Yeah.
So I was in downtown Lithonia, still in Georgia, and that's when I met my husband in 2011. Yeah, I met him in 2011, and that's how we connected
Yeah.
because he was doing food as well.
Oh, okay.
He was how they set up the cafeterias in the colleges on the college campuses, and
Yeah.
they have all these different stations where you can go eat all this different types of food. That's what he was doing. He was
Okay.
running he was running the cafeterias in the
Right.
schools. And so we connected that way. And that's when, my brain's still twirling. I want to open up my own business. And so that's when I found that location in downtown Lithonia. So
Okay.
that's how it really got started in that one location. So,
So,
but
so this
with
was
me,
you guys opened this together, right? And this is
yeah, we
a
opened it together. Well,
collaboration. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
actually, it wasn't a collaboration. What it was I was so adamant about opening up my own business. When I met him, I just went and found the place and negotiated myself and got a key to the building. And
And
I
what?
and he comes home one day, and I showed him a key, and he said, "What did you do?" And I said, "I got a place." I said, "We gonna open up a business." And he was like, "Well, we ain't talk about this." And I'm like, "This is what I want to do." And that's how I was, kid. I was just like, "This is what I want. This is what I'm gonna do." So yeah, it took me through being
Okay.
homeless, being evicted, no car. Um, I went through a lot. In this location in Lithonia, I was homeless in there, living in the back of that restaurant.
Hmm.
I was living in the first one I had. I was living in the back of the restaurant because there was no plan in place. It was
Oh,
just, here's a place that's turnkey ready. You want to sell food so bad. We went in there and we painted. We put paint on the wall. We put curtains and stuff up in the front. So I had the bakery part in the front with a little bakery case, and we were selling turkey burgers. Um, we were doing frying fish in there. We were doing breakfast items, something like breakfast burritos,
yeah.
and I was making my sweet potato cake because I was the one that always got everything started, set off, and I was doing sweet potato cake, and we were both of us, living in the back of the restaurant.
So when you say you negotiated this rate, what exactly were you paying for rent?
We were paying over there. It was like $500 some dollars, something for rent. The rent was very cheap, down in the area because there wasn't a whole lot of foot traffic.
Right. And
So there
so
was
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
there,
ahead.
there, there was no expensive rent or nothing like that. So we go in, we negotiate, we pay and say, okay, we're gonna pay this amount. We're gonna pay you up front this month. The landlord was very lenient, whatever.
Right.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like something that was strenuous. So
Right.
yeah, we went through, and then just so happened, Ken, the way we were surviving in this place, when the food ran out, because it did run out. Well, while we're making the food, there was a grocery store right next door. So now we're frying fish and we getting these. I mean, customers are coming. We're getting business for lunch.
Yeah.
But you done ran out of fish. So now he's got to take money out the register, go run to the store, buy some more fish, come back, and we got to clean it. And now we cooking it. I mean, that's how it was going. It was going like that. I mean, doing business totally backwards. I mean, to where you're pulling money out the register on the fly
Yeah.
to go run and go buy a product to come back and fix it because you got customers waiting.
And you're not
And
making it. And you're doing all of this.
it ain't making no money.
It's not making any money. Again, you're
No,
just
no.
simply, wow.
All we doing is just selling food, making some money, taking money out the register, go buy this, go buy that, living in the back of the restaurant.
And how long did
And
that?
that's how
Go ahead.
this lasted. We stayed there. That was 2011. I think we closed up in that location. We closed up in 20. I want to say it was like 2014. We closed, and we gave it up, and we wind up not having a place to live. It was rough. It was really rough until another opportunity came, and that's when we I went back home. I was going back and forth, moving back with my parents for years and years at a time when I was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, having to come back home because I didn't have nowhere to stay, and this didn't work out, so I got to come back. So I got to come back, restart. I was staying with my daughter at times, you know, because I just, like you said, did you have a plan? No, there was never a plan in place.
Okay. So
There was never a plan in place.
So you were in Lithonia, and you leave Lithonia. Where did you go? You went to another location, or
When I left Lithonia, that's when I wound up downtown, 57 Forsyth Street.
okay?
And
And you were there for how long?
And I was at 57 Forsyth Street for like 2 years. So that was like, I went there 2015, stayed there until 2017. I closed up that storefront location in like June of 2017.
Okay, Stephannie. So let me ask you this. So even during this time, you leave from one location from Lithonia, you go to this location in downtown Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
How are you securing the money to get these locations if you're not making any money?
Good question. I had to borrow some here and there. Well, my husband at the time, you know, he used his 401k, you know, maxed it out and took the money out so I can get and all I was giving up, Ken, at these places was enough money to get in.
Mm,
You know, just get me in. You know,
okay.
if you tell me I can give you this amount of money to get in, and then once I get in and start going, you know, I'll pay you the rest. That's how it was going.
Yeah.
There was no substantial amount of money from any banks, any family members saying, here's a lump sum, go do what you need to do because I believe in your vision. It was none of that. It was, I mean, I was bootstrapping.
Yeah.
I mean, from a penny here, penny there, whatever I could get, you know, to say, okay, I need to get this, and I did it. If a family member gave it, then they gave it. If they didn't, then, you know, and that's when the homeless things start kicking in, because it's like, okay, you can't pay money to run the business. You can't pay money for rent anywhere, you know. So what are you going to do? So that's when the living in the back of the restaurants come in. So with the storefront, there was no place to live. You know, when I was running the storefront, I was living with my daughter at the time.
Okay. So let me.
And me and
Okay.
my husband had separated at
Okay.
that during that time.
So when you were in Lithonia,
Mm-hmm.
you and your husband were living in the basement?
In the back, no, this one didn't have a basement.
Okay. You were living in the
Yeah,
back of the shop.
The back of the restaurant
Okay.
in Lithonia. That's where we were staying while
Okay.
we were running that place.
You moved from Lithonia to downtown Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and you were still living in the restaurant.
No, I was during that time. Then I moved with my daughter.
Okay.
So now I'm staying with my daughter.
Okay. So she's living there too. So you were staying with your daughter.
Yeah. My
Okay. Were you
daughter's
married?
everybody's in Atlanta.
Were you married at this time?
Yes, we were married, going through some chaos
Yeah.
then,
Okay.
going back and forth through separation and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So when I went to when I'm in downtown Atlanta, I'm separated from my husband, And
Okay.
well, we're
But you were
going
staying
through a
with
separation.
your daughter at that time.
Staying with my daughter at the time, yeah. And I
Oh,
was making the food in her place and transporting it
transferring it. Yeah. Okay.
down to Atlanta.
Okay.
So yeah.
And you did this for how long?
God, I did this for 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yep, 2 years.
So talk about the transition. So you're in Gastonia, North Carolina right now, right?
Correct.
Talk about the transition from down. So you left downtown Atlanta to
Left
Gastonia.
downtown Atlanta, came straight to North Carolina, got back with
Why?
my
Why? Talk about that.
because now the way I got here is because my husband was having health issues. He came to North Carolina because this is where his family is.
Now you guys
And
were separated, right? You told me when you
we
stayed.
yeah, it was touch and go. We was trying to figure out, are we gonna stay together, not be together,
Okay.
that type thing. Or are we
Okay.
gonna get a divorce, or what are we gonna do?
Okay.
So at that time, all my focus is on business. I'm
Hmm.
trying to run a business because I know I got something. I just don't know how to put it all together. I don't know how to market it. I don't know where to get the money from. I don't know who to talk to. So all I know is that I want a business. I have a product. I have something that people want, and this is what I want to do. So I come to we he was having health issues, and I said, you know what? I can't keep trying to run this business and see to you at the same time because I'm your wife. I got to make sure I got to take care of you. I got to help take care of you, but I can't do it and try to run this business at the same time. Maybe you should go to your parents and get your health situation situated because you're VA, you're a vet. You can go and transfer your stuff down there. So that's what he did. He came to North Carolina 2017, got all his stuff together. He was able to be, because his parents was able to get him back and forth to doctors and all that kind of stuff. So now we decide, I'm thinking you go and get all that stuff taken care of and you come back, so we could continue trying to run this business. He said he wasn't coming back.
Mm.
So he had all his stuff transferred to North Carolina. So I'm saying, well, I mean, we married, we can't be separated like that, if we're going to make this work. So he said, well, you need to come down here. So that's how I got to North Carolina.
Wow.
Follow my husband. Shut down the Atlanta location, packed up the U-Haul truck, brought everything down, had no place to stay when I came here. When I came here to North Carolina in 2017, had to stay with his parents. So that's where we were staying. Me and the young son that I had with
Yeah.
the other guy in Atlanta. So we were all three staying with his parents, and that was rough. Stay with his parents, and now Ken, I'm out. I said I can't be up in here. I got to go look for me a place. My cranium is still. I'm running a business. I
Hmm.
don't care what's going on. I'm going to run a business.
So
So I'm
while you during all of this time, you weren't doing any business at any time, were you? You were
after I
still
left
just
at
trying
once.
to.
Yeah, once I left Atlanta and came here, there was no job in place. There was no business in place. When I came here, he was working for a temp agency that sends you out to different food places, like catering people and all that kind of stuff. So he turned me on to that. So I go and I sign up, and that was my work, my temporary work, until I said I'm getting me a business. So I'm going now working for these catering companies. They sending us out on jobs, PG, the golf tournaments and all that stuff. We go set up and do all that. So I'm doing all this working, and I'm like, I'm going to do this. This is what I do.
Mhm.
Why am I working for somebody else and doing what I do? You
Right.
know. So I get in my car and I start riding around downtown Gastonia. Because we was over in that area. He was working another job over in that area. And I just started riding around, and that's when I saw that bakery. And I would ride through every day, Ken, every day. And I said, I got my eye on that. She's sitting out because somebody was in there doing bakery, and she was sitting outside. And I
And
was
is
like,
this
what?
this is the current location?
Yes, this is the
Okay.
current location I'm at right
Okay.
now. This is
Okay.
2017 now.
Okay.
And she's sitting outside, and I'm just like, why is she sitting outside? Why is she not selling no cakes? What's going on? So I started mapping out the area. I got out and I started walking the area. I said, I see why she's not selling anything, because there's no foot traffic down here. It's
Mm.
dead. It was like Mayberry. You just walking and I mean, everybody know everybody. And I'm just like, what the hell? I mean, no, but what they were comfortable. The people in the community, they were
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with the way it was. I saw something bigger. I saw potential. I saw I saw West LA. I saw Melrose Place.
Mm-hmm.
I saw shops. I saw people walking around. That was my vision. I was like, it's beautiful down here. Why aren't they doing anything? How come there's no food shops down here? Why are there no clothing stores and all these empty buildings? So that's what I saw. Ken, I rode through there one day. There was a for rent sign in the window. The girl was no longer sitting in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, God, is this place for me? And I got the number off the building. I called the guy and I told my husband, I said, I want that place. It's a place I found. I said, I talked to the man who owns it. I'm going to meet with him. He's going to show me the inside. He showed me the inside. And there's all it had was it had a 2-compartment sink in there. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And a refrigerator. And I said, okay, yeah, we can start this. I can do this with the bakery. We don't need that much because the bakery doesn't require all the health department, all those inspections.
Yeah.
It's just Department of Agriculture. So I called him. We set up a meeting. I met him out near where he lived out in Lake Wiley at McDonald's. We sat there, signed the lease. The rent was only $525 a month. And it's still that to this day. This was 8 years ago. Okay. I think it probably went up about $25.
Mm-hmm.
I think I paid $550 on that building the current building that I'm in right now. And for 8 years, signed it, got the key, started off as a bakery, was selling cupcakes here. I was throwing cupcakes away until I got to the point where I said, okay, half price cupcakes. I'm just like, come buy the cupcake at least. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that ain't working. And so now I'm still with my husband, and he used some of his knowledge from the places that he had worked at in Atlanta. And he said, we need to start doing breakfast. We need to start doing something. So he said, this place where I used to work at, they used to sell grit bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And they sold grit bowls and they put this on top, put this on top. I said, oh, really? Ken, I swear, I took the concept that he gave, I put a twist on it. I started making grit bowls, scrambled eggs, put them on top, had the meat, had the bacon, and had the sausage or whatever, put it on top. The grit bowls took off.
Mm.
When I said I took the concept and I twisted it. I took the grits and I said, you know what? I don't care that they call them grits. I don't like grit in my grits.
Mm.
I want smooth grits. I want the grits to still taste like grits, but I don't want that. I don't want to taste that gritty stuff in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I'm going to use that same concept, but I'm going to change mines and I'm going to do something to my grits to where they're not gritty anymore. It kicked off. The people started coming and they started tasting. Like I told you, word of mouth. Ain't advertised nothing. Didn't nobody know who I was down there. I'm brand new down here in downtown Gastonia. Don't nobody know me. So when we start sampling the grits, we would sample when the people would come. And at this time they could come in and I had another. You could come into the place where I'm at now. Only 2 people could sit in there. That's how small it was. It's only 692 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the people that were coming, we would sample our grits. We had a little souffle cup. Give them a little spoon. Be like, have you ever had grits? Have you ever had Fannie Cake grits? And so that's what we called them. And it was like, try these grits. They tried them. It was like, man. So it kicked off. Now, my husband gave me that.
Yeah.
He said, Steph, you got to sample. Let them taste it.
Let them sample it.
Let them taste it before they buy it. They don't know what they buying if they don't taste it. So we did that with the grits. We did it with the sweet potato cake. I would bake the cake, cut the sweet potato cake up in little pieces and put them in a little souffle cup, give them a little bitty fork and let them taste it. And it kicked off word of mouth. That's all it was, Ken, was word of mouth. And so as it started, word of mouth started growing and growing and growing. The first year, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you by numbers, and then you could, then this is when you say, "Did you make any money?" Yeah, okay. At some point,
it started taking off. Did you make any money?
At some point, it started taking off. You got to make some money. After all this time you've been doing this, you ain't never made no money. So I will tell you, the first year when we first started at knowing nobody, we did, a salary that the average person would make 33,000 a year. So I'm just like, okay, I mean 33, I'd go on and work on somebody's job and make that. This ain't gonna
Now,
work.
is this is in sales?
Yeah, this is in sales. And so
$33,000 worth of in
$33,000,
sales
yeah,
for the
for
year.
the
Okay.
first year,
For the first year.
not
Okay.
knowing nobody,
Yeah.
And so the second year, the numbers doubled.
Mm.
So now I'm looking at my numbers now because I go by numbers, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Second year it doubled. Okay, third year tripled.
And this is you. So, and I want to put this in proper context. You're not open all day, right? You're just only selling
We're open.
breakfast.
Yeah, we were only open from. We were only opening at that time. We was opening up at like 8 until like 12:30.
Okay.
Then we changed the hours to like 7:30 until 12:30.
Okay.
Which is what they are now,
Okay.
and that was only 5 days a week.
Okay.
Closed
So
closed on Sunday and Monday.
33,000 the first year.
33 the first year. Second year, I wish I had my numbers in front of me. I could tell you exactly.
But you said you doubled it.
Doubled the second year. The third year tripled. The fourth year still a higher triple, and then it just starts snowballing until I finally now this year. Now I'll just tell you all the way up until so that was from 2017 up until now. We're in 2026. So last year I did my numbers were 193. So it's still taking me some time to get to 7-8 figures, which is where I'm trying to go.
Right.
But the way the operation was set up, it's like, you're only gonna do so much.
Right.
Because of the space that you have, one, because of the equipment you have, two, you don't have it. You can't do this extensive menu that you want to do to make what you want to make because you're only going to sell what you're going to sell. Everything on my menu sells.
Okay.
And everything. Okay.
Go ahead. I just want to, because you talked about how small the place is. So everything is carry out, right? No one, it's not a place where you can actually sit down and actually eat whatever it is that they've purchased.
Right. When we first started out in 2017, we got the seating area 2018. Okay, that's when we got the seating area 2018. That's when we added that breakfast. We added breakfast in 2018. Okay. The seating area we still got in 2019. COVID hit, and so the dining area shuts down. Okay, because don't nobody want COVID. Everybody got to wear the mask. You can't come in and all that. Okay, so now the dining area is no longer available. Okay. Which cut me off, was really going to cut my money off. You see? And so I said, okay, well, wait a minute. This is my livelihood. We got to do something. So what I did was I got on the phone with DoorDash because that's when DoorDash was, the delivery service was kicking off. So I get DoorDash and that's what saved Fannie Cakes. When COVID hit, had I not called DoorDash, I would have to belly up and close up like everybody else did down there because they couldn't survive. So I brought in DoorDash, and now DoorDash is 85% of my sales. So if DoorDash is not going for me, it's going to take away a whole lot of money from me.
Okay, so there's a lot there. So you picked up DoorDash during COVID,
right?
Okay. And you had no expectation. Did you think that things would get better, or were you just simply doing this to survive? Or
yes, now I'm in survival mode now because COVID has hit. Because I'm seeing all the other businesses that were around me close up.
Oh, they closed up.
No, they're closing up because they didn't know what to do. Because the customers aren't coming. The customers aren't patronizing. Everybody got to wear masks. I mean, they were coming and bitching at me like, Miss Fannie, come on now. Why I got to wear a mask? That's like, you either wear a mask or you can't come in. Okay. And that's the way it was. And so somebody that could come in was DoorDash.
Okay. So you implement DoorDash and sales actually picked up or actually improved?
They improved. Is what it did.
Now, did they improve to the point to where it actually added to sales with respect to before COVID? Were you
Right.
or okay? Oh, okay. So it
Yeah.
actually okay.
Yeah.
And
So
you're currently
it
using
improved.
DoorDash
Yeah,
now.
it improved. Yeah, it improved the sales way before COVID. I mean, yeah, before COVID. Right now, currently, I have DoorDash and Uber Eats.
And Uber Eats. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So I
both of
have both of
those,
those.
both platforms are working for you.
DoorDash is the moneymaker, the
Hmm.
one that kicks in. Uber Eats is just now gradually starting to, because I haven't really marketed with Uber Eats as much as DoorDash, but yeah, DoorDash, I'm more familiar with the DoorDash platform works better for me right
Okay.
now.
Okay. So let's
So,
let's let's fast forward to kind of like where you are right now. All right.
mhm,
Are you still in all of your previous stops? You were
mhm,
pretty much just doing this all by yourself. Is that still the
right.
case now?
Yes,
You still doing everything by yourself right now?
even though I have four people that work the daily operation.
Okay, so you do have a
Yeah,
staff.
I have four people on staff. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So I'm not solely by myself, but I'm
okay.
saying as far as the back end of it, as far as somebody handling my marketing, somebody doing my accounting, somebody doing the PR stuff, somebody, prepping the food. No, I don't. That's me.
That's all you. Okay,
That's all me. I'm all those hats.
right.
But as far as the daily operation, I got four people
Okay,
handling that.
okay. And you say as of now, even though I guess there's always room to improve, you're saying that at the very least you are profitable. You're no longer living in the basement or anything like that, right?
I'm not living in basements. I'm not living in back of the restaurants anymore. And I'm in a home. Thank you, Lord. But and it's been a journey though, Ken.
Yeah,
It's been a real journey, and I thank God for all of it. Now I don't sit back and have a pity party and saying, oh, woe is me. I used to be, but I look at it as it was a journey that I had to go through to get to where I am now. I'm not
hmm,
saying that I'm seven figures, eight figures, and I'm balling and Fannie Cakes is doing all this. It's bigger than that for me because
right.
I know the struggle. I know the struggle of what I went through. And it just so happened that where I'm located right now is in the heart of downtown Gastonia. And I'm surrounded by people that are either in transition or just came out of transition. They're homeless. They have nowhere to go. Some of my employees are transitional people,
Mm,
you
okay.
know and I know their struggle.
Yeah.
And the ones that are in transition actually are the ones who just finished my shop, the new shop that I'm getting ready to go into. I went over there this morning before I had this interview with you to look at the finish of the new place, and it is set up.
Okay. And you'll be
And
moving into that new spot when?
I'll be moving into that new location. I'm looking at March 3rd is the day.
Okay.
So until I get some more of the particulars, I got to get more of the. I got to get the final walkthrough review with the planning department until they can say, and then I got to bring the health department in so they
Right.
can walk through. Those are my two final permit walkthroughs,
Gotcha.
and then it's just a matter of getting some of the equipment from the other building transferred over to next door.
Few more
So,
questions. Few more questions for you.
mhm,
So you say you never really took a whole lot of time to advertise, and that most of your business, even to this day, still comes from word of mouth, right?
right.
How much of your business would you estimate comes from word of mouth versus what you might get from, say, social media via DoorDash or do you have some idea? Do you know? Because you talked about how DoorDash has actually elevated sales for you.
Hmm.
Are majority of your sales still coming from DoorDash, or is it?
The majority of the sales are still coming from DoorDash, but right now the word of mouth is picking up
I got you.
because I switched the advertising. I used the way I was advertising was just putting up food pictures. I would put up food pictures and then write a little thing here to where we're located and the address, the phone number, this, that, and the other. It wasn't very appealing. So I said, okay, well, let's get into this AI stuff, that I still don't understand. I just know you can talk to it and tell it to do X, Y, Z, and
Right.
but you got to be a little more detailed, because they'll do whatever they want to do. So I said, well, let me try some of these AI things, with my
Hmm.
photos and
I see.
put a picture to it, and so that's what I've been doing
Okay.
And that's been picking up.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed that I go and I check my numbers on Facebook or Instagram or wherever I post, and I can see the numbers are going up, that people are talking you
All right.
know
Okay.
and then some of my customers will come and do their own content video or whatever, and then I can take that and use that and shop that around to strike people's interest. But
Gotcha.
honestly, the word of mouth, that is catching up with DoorDash.
Okay.
It really is. It's catching up with DoorDash because I still have people that are coming to me since 2017.
Okay. So you are finally to the point to where now you're looking at the opportunity to move into a larger location in which people compared to now where everything is just carry out. Now you're
Right.
going to have an opportunity for people to literally come and dine in
Hmm.
in the near future, right?
Correct.
As it relates to Fannie Cakes, which is kind of like your signature or the pound cake, and people, I'm here to tell you right now, I I my folks come from Louisiana, all right, and as far as I'm concerned, my mom, my grandmother, aunts, and my aunts, I'm of the belief nobody is better than them, especially in the dessert category. And so when
Right.
I
Right.
initially came across Stephanie's product of this sweet potato pound cake, I'll be honest with you, I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I'm sure it's good, and I'm just gonna order for the simple fact that I want to support my classmate. That's it.
Right. Right.
Didn't have any expectations. And then I get it, and I get this product, and I taste it, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? The sweet potato pound cake. I'm telling you guys now, you gotta try it. And you may have a recipe, a family recipe, but Stephannie told me, Ken, you've never tasted anything like this before. And lo and behold, she was not making this up. So I say all that I've got to ask Stephannie, what is the future of Fannie Cakes going forward, especially as it relates to the dessert and that signature sweet potato pound cake?
Going forward, Fannie Cakes is setting up to be a legacy brand. Okay. I want to see Fannie Cakes in every household. I want to see people open up their cabinet and the packaging say Fannie Cakes on it. Okay. From the cakes to the oatmeal that sells out to even the packaged grits, to where they can have the grits at home. And you know how you do the boil a bag of rice, where they can have boil a bag of grits because the grits are already ready. You guys just drop them in the hot water. That's what I'm seeing going forward. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is an outreach program,
Mm-hmm.
but it's coming through Fannie Cakes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming to, one, they're going to get a job at Fannie Cakes. Two, they're going to learn the life skills. They're going to learn the job, the training on the job. They're going to be able to go and get therapy if they need therapy, because they're coming through this, they're going through a transition. So they're going to need to get their mind back, acclimated to the rest of the world. So that's where I see Fannie Cakes helping, as far as right in the community that I'm in, actually, because it's a lot of people over there that are going through mental issues, mental health issues. And I want to be in that arena to be able to say, you can come here and get help, through Fannie Cakes. So you're going to get everything that you need through this one location. That's what I see going forward within the next 5 years. That's what I see. So whether it's going to be a profit, nonprofit,
Yeah.
you know, um, and I want to connect with my church that's in Atlanta because they have a huge outreach program. So there's a way for them to connect Fannie Cakes with the program that they already have. And even though it's in two different states,
Yeah.
it will still work. So I can be the outreach person here on this end for that outreach program that's already going on in Atlanta. So
Right.
that's what I see, Ken,
Okay.
because it's more to baking the cake.
Yeah.
It's more to making breakfast. It's about knowing the struggle, going through that whole struggle and that whole journey that I had to go through to get to where I am, because there was a time where I went through a state of depression, where I went through, I don't know what I want to do,
Hmm.
and I just stay at home and stayed in the bed and wouldn't move, wouldn't do anything. So I know the struggle. I know the journey. I've been homeless. I've been without. I know what that all feels like. I might not have been sleeping on the street with a cardboard, and a blanket, but I didn't have an address to
Yeah.
where somebody can mail me something. So I've been there several times, so I know what that's like. So
So Stephanie, let me ask you this then. Considering what you've done, considering what
mhm.
you've gone through, considering where you are right now, and what for someone who may be looking at this, who has a passion for baking, or who has a passion for cooking, or there may be that signature meal or entree that they think that they really have something that people would like, and they're starting from zero, what would be your advice to that person?
My advice would be to connect with somebody that's doing what you want to do. Connect with somebody that's doing what you want to do, and they're doing it at the level that you want to do it at, and see if you could apprentice, with them. Come under them, work under them, or do whatever. Get with them, see if you can have a sit down with them, a meeting or whatever, or can you come on site wherever they're doing it at and watch them, for a couple of hours or whatever. Do your research. Just put it like that. Do your research, shop around. Just like I said, find the people that are doing what you want to do, and connect with them first before you jump out there and just say this is what I'm going to do, and without a plan or anything like that. I've written many business plans,
Hmm.
but I never followed them. I followed them to a certain extent, but I always just knew in my head what it was that I wanted to do. And that's what I was going to do, whether I write it down or whether I don't write it down. And I also I would tell people to keep a journal. Keep a journal of what it is that you want to do. Write it down. If things come into your head, open that journal up and put it on paper so you can have something to refer back to. But that's the thing that I would tell people. Just
Yeah.
get with somebody that's doing what it is that you want to do.
Let me just backtrack just a little bit, Stephanie, because I am curious, if you don't mind, given where you
Mhm.
are right now, and obviously things are a lot better, but how are you doing currently revenue wise, say on a monthly basis, if you don't mind?
On a monthly basis, my as far as sales at the shop.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure, okay. On a monthly basis, my sales can on a slow end,
yeah.
it's 12. I
Thousand.
do 12,000 a month.
Okay,
On a high end, I can do 20.
okay,
And
okay.
that's with the space, the 692 square foot space that I have,
Yeah,
without the equipment that I need. So the location that I'm going into now, I have the space and I have the equipment. So I can do, the things that I know that I can offer the products that I know are going to be high end products that'll increase, my ticket count. I have the equipment now that I can do that with. So that's why I say Fannie Cakes is growing. It's going to be bigger. There's going to be a franchise. There it won't just be one Fannie Cake and that's it. The one that's here now is the model location. It's going to be the original Fannie Cakes, and then it's going to escalate from a Fannie Cake here, Fannie Cake there, Fannie Cake over there in Houston, Texas, wherever. You're gonna see them pop up, and they gonna know the colors and all that stuff because these are the colors. This is the brand, and they will, and that's what's getting ready to happen. So I just have to. This one has to be the flagship for
right.
all the others that's going to come behind it. So,
And just so we're clear, if folks still want to order that cake, you can mail them that cake, right?
oh yeah, yeah, they can contact me through
Yeah, I was gonna
email.
say, how can
Yeah,
how can they reach you?
they can contact me through email, which is www.fanniecakesbakery@gmail.com, and the Fannie is Fannie.
That's the
Cakes
email, or is
Bake.
that the web address?
That's the email.
Email it.
That's the email.
So,
FannieCakesBakery@gmail.com. The
okay.
website is going to be fanniecakes.cafe.
Okay.
So you can go to the website at FANNIE cakes.cafe, and you could order a cake online from there.
And even though you're in the process of moving, but for someone who may be near Gastonia, what is your
Mhm.
address, physical address?
The address, we're located downtown Gastonia at 103 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Way, and that's Gastonia, North Carolina 28052. So yeah,
Okay.
that's where you can find us at, or you can call us at 980-888-4040, and we'll answer any questions if you call that line or you email us or go on the website. You can find us. We're gonna be there. We've been there for 8 years, so we're not going nowhere.
She is
We're
Stephannie
not going
Round.
nowhere.
She is Stephannie Roundtree, CEO and founder of Fannie Cakes. Stephannie, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing your journey. Hopefully, it's an inspiration to someone who may be looking at this, who may be contemplating whether or not they should take that step. But
Right,
my sister,
right.
I'm here to tell you good luck to you going forward.
Thank
I am
you.
going to make another order of that sweet potato pound cake very, very soon.
I
But
appreciate you, Ken.
thank you, ma'am. You stay true, continue to do the work, and who knows, maybe we'll bring you back on again in the near future, kind of see where things are after you've blown
Yeah, to
up.
see the next journey, to see the new location.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
All right.